A syndicate spread across 5 states, a scam that's carried out like a well-oiled machine, loopholes in the system that have been exploited for decades. Bihar's NEET paper leak case has opened a can of worms. Last night on the news track, we exposed how the paper leak mafia works. That investigation has now triggered a massive storm and intense reaction.
जेल है, बेल है, खेल है, फिर वही का खेल होगा. कितना दिन रखेगा जेल में?
A shattering investigation. An expose that blew the lid covering the deep rot in India's competitive exam landscape. India Today's special investigation is the biggest political talking point as the exam mess gets messier.
This whole system is very corrupt, and it's got its inherent biases, which everybody has said before. It had a bias, CBSE bias before, and now it's a completely skewed. I mean, the whole marking system seems to be skewed because some students have gotten grace marks, others haven't gotten. As I said, it shouldn't be called NEET, it should be called mess.
Congress has slammed centre for letting cartels and mafia run India's most prestigious exams. The notorious Mukhya Solver gang's modus operandi is under CBI scanner. Cyber criminals provided Mukhya gang with fraudulent SIM cards and shelter to accused. 11 post-dated checks have also been recovered. The tentacles of this gang has spread beyond Bihar. A key name that emerged from initial probe is Rocky Mukhya, nephew of mastermind Sanjeev Mukhya, who arranged for solvers in Jharkhand.
वो बिना सूचना के कार्यालय से अनुपस्थित थे, तो एक सप्ताह बाद हम लोगों ने उनको एक लेटर दिया कि आप बिना सूचना के कार्यालय से अनुपस्थित हैं, आज का स्पष्टीकरण दीजिए. तो वो एक एप्लीकेशन भिजवाए कि हम चिकित्सारत हैं, एकाएक मेरा तबीयत खराब हो गया और मुझे 1 महीने का छुट्टी दिया जाए.
CBI has intensified the hunt for main accused Sanjeev Mukhya, who has reportedly fled to Nepal. 24 arrests have been made across Bihar, UP, Jharkhand, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Chorus is growing for Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. But caught in the political crossfire are students who wait with the bated breath as their future hangs in the balance on a system that has failed them. Bureau Report, India Today.
And the C voter carried out a survey to ask some very basic questions. 1. Should these exams be postponed? Should they be called off? Should there be a retest? They also asked whether who's to be blamed for this? The central government, the state government. Let me now take you to who's to blame for this. Let's go to the first set of questions. Now, the respondents, the India Plus supporters, now they say 40% of them have said central government is to blame. 17% of NDA supporters say that central government is to blame. Others, 24%, feel it's the central government to blame. 13% of the India supporters say the state government is to blame. 13% of the NDA supporters say state government is to blame, and others 11%. The agencies that conduct the exams, India supporters, 28% say it's the agency or the NTA to blame. NDA supporters, 45% feel it's the NTA to blame. Others, 37%. What about the coaching centers? Are they a hand in glove? 4% of India supporters feel so. 4% of NDA supporters feel so, and about 4% of others feel so. What about the paper leak mafia? And that's extremely interesting. As far as the India supporters are concerned, only 6%. But NDA supporters, 13% say that the paper leak mafia is to blame. So let's take this step by step. Let me bring in Maheshwar Perry, he's founder and chairman of Careers 360. Ghanshyam Tiwari is the national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Syed Zafar Islam, Dr. Syed Zafar Islam is the spokesperson of the BJP, also a member of Rajya Sabha. Sanjay Jha is a political analyst. Maheshwar Perry, in your appreciation, who's to blame? The central government, the state government, the NTA, the coaching centers, or the mafia, sir?
I think it's not just one, to blame one. Like, for example, the states have to control their own states in that sense, the policing of that, right? So for me, it is not one central government or state government. But one thing very clear for me is that the NTA was failing for a long, long time, and the government of the day, which is the central government, did not act on that. This entire mess is because NTA failed And NTA, in a certain sense, was working under the government of India, right?
Yes.
The state governments is about law and order and how you stop cheating and all, and that's a separate thing altogether for me. But for sure, the failure of NTA lands up at the government of India's doorstep.
Fair enough. Respond to this, Syed Zafar Islam. It's the central government that should have known. The Narendra Modi government has been in absolute power for the past 10 years, and yet this mafia was able to operate with impunity. Clearly, the government has to shoulder responsibility, sir.
Gaurav, the details have been explained by the Honorable Minister himself. And he said that there are some malpractices, and how it happened, how one could do that is something which needs to be investigated, and culprits should not be spared. They should be punished, sternly punished. And we are absolutely clear in our mind that no such malpractices, no such error should ever take place, because we want every system to be clean, and we have put in every single effort to ensure that system is clean. But if there is still something which has happened, and this has definitely come to everyone's notice, we will definitely take serious amount of action. We have changed the NTA chairman as well. We are progressing towards taking all the precautions, every possible precaution, to ensure never such things occur. And people like those people, your Gupta and others, they should be treated like a terrorist, and they should be
Sir, you're saying that now, but Ghanshyam Tiwari and Sanjay Jha are very clearly not impressed. Are clearly not impressed with you. Today you are saying that the paper leak mafia should be treated as terrorists. But Ghanshyam Tiwari, why is the opposition not satisfied with the government's response, sir?
Good evening, Gaurav, to you, the viewers, and the fellow co-panelists. There are three things that people should know.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, with your permission, go on, sir. Okay, yeah, go on. Last 30 seconds, go on.
With Ghanshyam, all I'm trying to tell you that, see, we don't want anyone to politicize it. It is a serious issue, and everyone should come together, behave like a responsible citizen and opposition, whatever capacity you can behave responsibly, to ensure that you cooperate with the government, you cooperate with the system, to ensure that such malpractice should never happen. Instead of criticizing, we are addressing this to
Okay, Ghanshyam Tiwari and Sanjay Jha, both not impressed with your response. But first Ghanshyam Tiwari and then Sanjay Jha. Ghanshyam Tiwari, go on, sir.
Good evening, Gaurav, to you, the viewers, and fellow co-panelists. There are three important points. One is the broader framework. You have a Jai Shri 420 Sarkar, where they want to fix the election system, election machinery, they want to fix the media, they want to fix the state government by breaking parties. You have systematically punctured the integrity and moral authority of leadership in India in this Jai Shri 420 Sarkar.
Sir,
that's
I
at
would
the overall
specifically
level.
Today, stay on the subject of exams, sir.
I'm coming to that.
Yes, sir.
When you get to the next level is the ministry. When you don't have the education minister responsible for education, because Prime Minister is doing this media event called Pariksha Pe Charcha. Who's responsible? Who created NTA? Who's responsible? In any other government, the education minister by now would have resigned. A prime minister who has done a media event of Pariksha Pe Charcha for 8 years, 10 years, I don't know, would have at least commented. We cannot have a prime minister who lacks courage to face any crisis that nation faces, from Manipur to NEET exam, runs away. But when time comes to show a green flag here and there, get the media propaganda going, comes and hogs the limelight. The third point is, the data is out there. The data has been out there from last year, this year. If you look at the data and you use basic analytics, Mahesh can do it very well, anybody can do it in the country. There are so many organizations. You will see anomalies of students who are outliers, who have consistently performed poorly in many exams, until this one exam, suddenly they perform to a 98 percentile, 99 percentile. If you don't have this basic checks and balances in place, then crooks with basic level of capability and political connections that are now coming out will be able to break the system, and they get their sanction.
Perfect.
From the top
Sanjay Jha, the government says the opposition has to play a constructive role here. Come together, find solutions, don't just point fingers. You smiled and you smirked at this. You were not impressed with Dr. Zafar Islam's response. Why, sir?
Gaurav, let me tell you what has been India's big USP for the last, I would say, several decades. India's demographic dividend. Now, that is a function of the jobs that you create for people and the quality of your education. Mr. Modi's government has been a monumental disaster as far as jobs is concerned, which is why they got a hard knock in this election. But now you are having a situation today where you are even denying students. We call them aspirational, more tech friendly. They understand climate change activism. And look at how we are treating them. I mean, this is, by the way, a very serious conversation. I smirked because I can't understand the political hubris of this party that even now, instead of acknowledging a very miserable failure, is trying to deflect it into a collective responsibility. As I think the gentleman, Mr. Maheshwari, correctly pointed out, if you add the feedback in your survey of people who blame the central government and the testing agency, the overwhelming 63% has blamed Mr. Modi's government. And there's nothing political about it. It's a fact. And if I was in government, I would say, we messed up, we're responsible, we have to fix it, we say sorry, and we will do something about it.
Now let's
Here
come
is
to
a
the
government-
point of fixing it. Let's take this step by step, and that brings us to our second question. Was it then time now, is it now time to cancel this exam and conduct a fresh exam? Or should you wait for the Supreme Court verdict? Let's get to the response on that. Plan of action, cancel or conduct. What is the response? As far as India supporters are concerned, 53% say cancel and conduct fresh exams. NDA supporters, 54% say cancel and conduct fresh exams. Others again remain 54. So overwhelmingly, larger number of people want exams cancelled. Follow Supreme Court directions? Well, 30% on India supporters, 27% of NDA supporters, 28% others. Or wait for the probe to get over, CBI probe? Very few appear to have faith in that because their numbers are 9, 9 and 9. Once again, I want to begin by asking Mr. Maheshwar Perry, cancel exam, re-exam or wait for courts to decide?
I have not seen this kind of a compromised examination in my lifetime.
Yes.
Right. The scoring patterns, the outliers, the 67 toppers is just the tip of the iceberg. There are 80,000 people who got 600 plus, and earlier years it was about 25,000. Right. There are about 2,000 people who got 700 plus. Last year it was 300. So at every single point, I see a scoring outliers that happened, and the digression is so huge that it cannot happen in the normal course. That's the only thing that I know. Right. The other part of it is cancellation and non-cancellation. Like the Supreme Court ordered a re-examination for about 1563 students. About 850 only, went for the test, retest, right? Which means about 50% did not, 50% did not do, and 52% went for that examination. Therein lies some story also that, people who got very good scores would step back. People who don't think they have a chance will step back. The others will step in. In which case, it gives the students who got the manipulated score a undue advantage.
Interesting you should mention that. So cancel or wait for courts to decide? Sanjay Jha.
Gaurav, in my opinion, I agree with Mr. Maheshwari. Let the Supreme Court come out with its own conclusions. But the larger point, you need a government that takes governance seriously. If you look at the track record of this government, it is very jugaad in its approach. Demonetization,
Sir,
execution
I'll
of
stick
GST,
to this issue because it's far more serious.
No,
I want to
it's a
stick
track
to
record.
this issue today.
Yeah.
Exams,
Gaurav,
strictly exams, just for today's debate. Ghanshyam Tiwari, once again, cancel or re-exams or let courts decide because they have all information coming in from all aspects.
There are two parts to it, Gaurav. One, if you look at the sequence of events after this leak has happened, and students have protested, and we stand by the students, this government has lost the confidence to conduct any exam. So even if the exam is cancelled, the government does not have the basic confidence in its own institution, its own capability and leadership to conduct the exam. Second, when you cancel the exam, the political call is, yes, cancel the exam, students will agree. But if you cancel the exam and don't solve the problem, don't punish the culprits, then you have incentivized those who are culprits rather than disincentivize them. So that's the second point. And third point is, it's a suggestion. I don't think these students are India supporters, NDA supporters. They are meritorious students trying year after year, preparing very hard for a certain exam. I don't see them, even as a politician, I don't see them colored in any side.
Fair
Many
enough.
of them are under 18 years old. So I don't care whether which party they support. The point is, they are the most aspirational merit that India produces every year. And if we cannot give justice
Syed
to
Zafar
them,
Islam,
then we have the rest next.
Respond when the
education
opposition
system
says that the
is
government doesn't have the system to conduct an exam, that, Caesar's wife has to be above suspicion. Is the NTA now above suspicion? Here the Caesars facing very serious questions.
I think it's very unfair on the part of the opposition spokesperson, and that's why I said they need to be responsible. In a situation like this, if you want to politicize it, you are actually not looking for a solution, you are creating more friction and problem. So I think they need to understand that you should not play with politics when it comes to our future generation, and I think we must collectively work together to find a solution which actually should be foolproof.
I'll tell
Having
you
said
why.
that, the CBI investigation is on.
Sir,
I think
CBI
once the
investigation has happened even in the past.
once the
2018
investigation is
CBI
over,
investigation started. 2019 CBI investigation started. Now it's 2024. So CBI investigation, as Mr. Perry will also tell us, Maheshwar Perry, that has to be result oriented, not just a cover up, but as the credibility of the National Testing Authority,
Absolutely.
the agency, has that been damaged? Maheshwar Perry, how do you look at it when the respondents say 70% of India supporters say yes, 65% of NDA supporters say yes, 65% others say yes, it's been damaged. 12% somewhat on either side, not at all, is just 4%, 6% and 5%. Your appreciation, NTA, the credibility, has it been damaged? Should it be disbanded? Or is that throwing the baby out with the bathwater? The system can be reformed.
Gaurav,
Mr. Perry.
any examination that is conducted by NTA at this point in time, I'm not talking of the institution called NTA, but at this point in time, NTA it's at the lowest of its credibility ever, right? So if it conducts again all over again, trust me, there'll be question marks raised because some student would raise a voice from somewhere and all media will go around it and keep talking about it. I am beyond politics. For me, now the simple thing is this. NTA is sitting with data that you and I don't know. NTA is sitting with data which talks of outliers, people from non-home state preferring a center, people from one center having lots of scores, people from non-home state people, flogging, getting down to Godhra or Jajjar
Yes.
or Maharashtra or whatever it is. All this is data that is sitting with NTA. For us, the only responses that we get is a specific answer to a specific question. We don't know what questions to ask. We only know the outcome that happened. So to that extent, first of all, I think NTA is its lowest credibility and it will become a problem. The other part of it is my advice to the government and Mr. Islam, sir, I don't want to politicize this whole thing, sir. The simple thing is this. At any point in time, the students are not looking at how you punish the criminals. At this point in time, they're looking at what is the next step for them.
Yes.
And the government has not come out with anything to say, okay, this is what we are likely to do or we're going to do, right? For all of the government to keep saying that we'll punish the criminals and all, does it solve the basic anxiety and trauma that the student is currently going through?
The
And
future
the
of
minister has
India.
had multiple press conferences and he's not answered that part.
Absolutely. How will their future be
Gaurav.
secured? I've sadly run out of time on this part of the show. But gentlemen, we'll get you back, and this is a debate. This is a question and story we'll be tracking very closely.